The hubs were meant to go away for paint with the frame, but unfortunately this hub needed repairing and I just didn't have the time before I could take the frame in. It's a genuine hub, but unfortunately it suffered at the hands of a complete and utter moron who's prized it apart with a screwdriver, crowbar, whatever. You can see it happened some time ago. There's quite a bit of dirt within the damage. I've cleaned this one up. It's a very thin wall there and it forms like a labyrinth seal, so it's not structural, but we still want it to look good. I think they're worth saving, these hubs, because the genuines, if you can get them, are very, very expensive, and I don't want to put an aftermarket on. I want to return them back to their original painted condition, so I'm going to try and match the colour as close as we can. I really am not looking forward to this, because it's pressure dye of 40 odd years old. God knows what's in it. It's aluminium, it's thin, and unfortunately it won't fit on my lathe either. It's too big a diameter for the throw of my lathe, so we're going to have to contour this back manually by hand, and we've also got to create that profile in there. I don't think this one would be so bad, but this I'm not looking forward to. So here we go. I've finished this piece now, and I'm happy with the results. I think putting quite a quick bead, quite a thick bead on helped quite a lot. So we've got the profile back there. Thickness is near enough the same from the old to the new. The radius is good, and I've simply flatted this off. You can still see a bit of linishing marks in it, but the powder coating will contain this. So yeah, it starts about there, finishes about there, and so it's kind of similar to there, about 1/2 mil over. It's about the same there. So that's the outer done. We're now going to do the worst part. So we've took this back with a linisher, cleaned it there. I'm a little bit concerned that we've got some porosity in the aluminium when I linished it back, so this looks like it's going to be fun. So we've took it right back, just going to use a bit of acetone, clean it up, and we're going to go for it. I'm going to weld it from the inside of the hub outwards, so any excess starts to build on the outside, which is what I'm hoping to come out, rather than going from the outside in and making it harder to get this profile back. So we're all finished now, and we're going to get these up the shop for paint. So I just showed you that one previously, and then this one's all finished now. It was all done by hand. As I said, I didn't have a lathe big enough to fit it. We've got some tiny dots of porosity in it there. Maybe a bit of muck has come up. I mean, I'm welding inside an old brake drum. God knows what's inside there, asbestos, whatever, who knows. So you can see some tiny little dots there, but I can live with that. I've simply done this with a series of belt sanders, lineation discs, and then by freehand using files. All the inside was done, roughed out with a little desuter, Dremel, if you want to call it, to get the profile back, and then that was also finished with internal files and sandpaper. So hopefully you can see that, as you see as it goes from the old to the new. I measured it up and it's real close. So I'm really happy with that for freehand. So we're going to get these all cleaned up and painted. There's the two broken sections together. So the collecting is complete. We have parts here from all over the world, literally. The furthest one's Australia to where we are, Indonesia, Japan. It's quite a collection. All genuine parts. The only parts that aren't genuine is, I suppose you could argue, I used SKF bearings. Also for the engine I've used SKF. I prefer SKF. So I chose to fit those. Cables, indicators are still Stanley. Battery, arguably not. This is the original headset. I had this chromed. The only trouble with this chrome, it's so good, it shows up the Honda chrome as new. Wheels were eBay, and then I had them powder coated. Real tail lights. Genuine light that come with the bike. These were the, are they stainless, are they not, parts of the suspension. I had these chromed by the same company that done the headset. And that is just amazing, absolute mirror considering how pitted they were. Genuine horn, the genuine clock that come with the bike. These aren't genuine because I couldn't find genuine. Every time I went in with a part number, they were obsolete. Aftermarket exhaust, genuine forks with the old damaged forks. Headlight has still got away for paint, we've still got to get that done. Chains and sprockets have been replaced with DID chains and sprockets. Originally ignition with the bike, that's bent, but until this is what come with the bike, until I've got the bike a bit more together, I won't know where to straighten it, what to do, and I've got no other one to compare it with. It will save in it because it's genuine. New mirrors, brake cables. That's genuine Honda, that's not fiberglass, that's not eBay, that's a genuine Honda one and it's genuine colour. These are the mud guards that you've seen in the part 1 video, and I've had them colour coded to match the Honda. These are the hubs that I repaired. Okay, and as you can see, it come out really nice. So all new bearings to go in there. This later appeared with the bike. I had a call that more parts were found, and this is the 2-bulb headlight, which is quite rare now, quite hard to find, so I was really chuffed to find that. The chroming on the outside is poor. I can't find a rim, I don't even mind non-genuine because I'm that desperate, that has the one that takes the split pins just here. All of them are just tabs like this design here. I need the split pin type that takes the 2-bulb headlight. Indicator stems, brand new gear selectors, mirrors. This was what we straightened with the socket. This is the rear suspension. Really good job of the powder coating they've even done inside of the tubes, which is quite rare. I mean, they could skim that, but they haven't. They've done a really good job of that. There is absolutely no dents on there. That's come out really good. There's the other one. Especially in the gloss, you can tell quite easily, and that's come out really well. This is still my mystery corner. Having bought the bike in a cardboard box, there's bits there I don't know what they do. Obviously I know that's the carb and those are brand new brakes, but we got just stuff in there, stuff there, who knows. More electrics. Stand that come with the bike's been powder coated. That's the tank. Tank's been done. Filter, that is the light that come with the bike. Airbox. New chain guard that, comparing the chrome with what I had done, isn't that good. Battery carrier. This is, remember we welded this up as well around there somewhere. That's come out really well. Brake units. So there you go, you get the gist. All the paintwork's been done right inside here, which I'm really impressed with. Really was chuffed with that. Right into the seams as well. Remember all the rock down here. All that's been done. Underneath the bike. Really have done a super job of that. So now it's the big build, working out what goes where. I've never seen the bike as a whole, so this will be really fun. Looking at the loom, it's got some areas of concern. You can see this brown earth wire here has gone through. It's very brittle here, the protector's gone. Yeah, this is the front of the bike, so this would probably be where the steering turns left to right and it's gone through. So we're going to take this back here, measure where it originally went to. We've got some damage here, so that will be another wire that we need to change. Same on here. So we'll cut it back now in areas, peel some of the tape back. It's quite brittle in places round about where the heat has happened. And we'll see what's what and replace what needs to be replaced. So the loom is now stripped down bare. I've taken all the bits of tape that covered the soldered joints. There's a few here near the rear of the bike, and there's some more down here somewhere. There, another one there. These are all originals. and some really interesting wiring, because it goes black to black, and then they drop a red in there, and then there's red with a white trace that goes to red with a white trace, and then they chuck a red in. So I've looked at the wiring, and that is correct for the 1978 Chaly. So what I've done also is mark down the position of each of the branches off the loom. So if it helps anybody, measuring from the headstock, the headlight at the very end here, to your coil, a black wire, is 520. Again, from the head to the engine, which are those colours there. Okay, turquoise with a red trace. That's 720. I take it one of those is your brake switch, and the other one stand switch or something, I'd imagine, round about there. Not sure, but the next branch anyway is 970. And then 150 in from the end is your final branch for your earth and your rectifier. Okay, so that's 150 from there to there. Yeah, I've took the boots off. The loom ID, which in true essence of the video we're going to put back midpoint, which is exactly where it come from the branch, between the branches. So that's going back on if anybody's interested in that. The 3 wires that go to the rear tail are all worn through, so it looks like it was resting on it, the tail light, so we're going to have to change all of those, put new ones of those on. The brown, as we've seen through the damaged casing, has practically gone through, and the red has got a nick in it, but when you look at it closely there's a lot of water ingress there, so we're going to change the red. I don't have this 4-way setup, so unfortunately we're going to have to joint that wire, which I didn't want to do that, but I haven't really got a choice. Plus I wanted to keep the original connectors if they were in good nick. So that's where we're going now, a red, a brown, and a bit of work on some ends. We have got something going on down here. It's quite stiff, the wiring. There doesn't seem to be any insulation cracking, but I mean that's very, very stiff, so it's obviously round by a hot area, or it's been very next to the exhaust or over the back of the engine. So I'm hoping to get away with that area, but I think we'll have to do something there. And the solder joints seem to be okay there, so we'll look at that later. So let's get on with that then. Okay, the loom's now finished. I replaced the damaged wires that you're seeing. I also managed to get hold of 2 new boots, genuine Honda boots for the ends. I got hold of a genuine Stanley new old stock rectifier because the other one had a crack in it. I thought I'd better get one. I also got this grommet, that's from CSML or something like that. Managed to get hold of that. I reattached the original serial number for the loom and covered it with heat shrink just for the nerd factor. What else did I do? Oh, the hardened section that was around about here where it passes over the engine, although it metered out, and it metered out good, there was no higher resistance over that section. It did concern me, and I'm not interested in stripping this part down again, so I have replaced a number of wires in there, Luckily, the ones that were affected by the hardening were the ones that were jointed from there to there, so I only had to replace sections between two already joins. I've made the I presume these go to the tail light. I don't know because I bought the bike in a cardboard box. So we have 2 new wires, as close to the Honda crimps as I could possibly get, and made off the same. I couldn't find the plastic style sheathing of the old ones. That's the closest I could get. So we got, I think they're the headlight, and that's it, as original as I get it. This is what is inside that section there. Remember, some plastic come off that was all perished, and that's where the cable was damaged. That is inside there, but as I didn't want to take off the original connectors, well, I took off the ones that were damaged or corroded, but the majority of them I wanted to stay. I couldn't slip that over the end, so what I did, I cut down the length and then simply taped it up, so it is still free to move here. A lot more malleable than it would be if it was taped all the way along. So the cable is free to move inside that section because that's what's inside. And it went back to loom tape here. This is genuine loom tape. It isn't just electrical tape, this is proper loom tape. And that starts where the original started. So there we go, loom's finished. Had a really fortunate call off the chap I bought the bike off. The carburetor's turned up. It's the original carburetor off the bike. Genuine item for a CF70. But God knows what's gone on here. This is all the original parts. If you look at the manifold, which is that one there, can't be that one because it hasn't got an O-ring, and that's got a cast flange. Can't be that one because that's the Jubilee clip design, which this one isn't. So it's got to be this one here, okay, with a gasket. That bracket there, called the wire stay, used to be part of this manifold. So it went from steel to aluminium. Somehow the two were attached, I don't know. I can't get one of these. It's got to be this. It can't be the other design, and it can't be a modified one. I've got to get hold of one of these, which isn't going to happen because I've been trying for some time. So we're going to get that out of there, make a sleeve for it, TIG weld it together, and then bond it into there, bore it out, bond it into there, like it would have originally been done somehow, using some sort of adhesive or bonding that's impervious to heat and fuel. This bracket here, which has been butchered and cut, this is all original. Nobody's modified this. You can see the stamping marks all the way around it. So that's definitely the original part there. So if you imagine that's back in there, just about rests on at the moment. That bracket there that's got hacksaw marks all over it, bent and straightened, would have been that bracket there. So we're then going to use as much of this as we can, rather than starting again from the beginning, and make that bracket there. And that's the next step. Okay, that the idea of that now is 22mm. I use the step drill with some gear cutting oil. That tends to be what I always use, is gear cutting oil, basically because it's free. That's why it smokes a bit on the lathe. I use the step drill because it's a thin. You wouldn't get away with a 3-lit drill with that. It'd just bite and fly off everywhere. 4-lit drill I suppose you might, but I don't have one. So yeah, that's now 22mm ID. This is the finished sleeve that will go into the manifold once we machine the inside out. The OD of that is still less than that. I've knurled it so it gives the bonding agent, resin, whatever we choose, a bit of a key onto here when it goes into there, when we press that into there. Secondly, that is 22.1mm OD, so that will give us a nice press fit into there, and the knurling will help it key into there, give us a bit of strength prior to us TIG welding along here and then making that flush for the O-ring, which goes on there. Okay. You see the chamfer that when I turned it in the collar, so we've got a 45-degree chamfer there. We got the butchered fitting from before, which is we've actually benefited from for once, and that's also chamfered. So we're going to do a nice bit of TIG welding all the way around there, and then grind it flat, check it's square, cut that off. I will possibly do that in the lathe once we've finished, and then we'll look at machining the manifold then. I'm hoping to fill up that little rebate there as well, that's why I put so much in. So we've set all the wiring up, basically without the bike, that's the only thing missing. This is everything wired as should be. I've tested indicators, lights. Yeah, if you can see that. Everything lights up as it should. There's a lot of new components gone into this, switches, relays. So yeah, what we're going to do next on the loom is just attack it. But most importantly, that works. So once the frame's back from painting, we'll start putting it together, and in the meantime we're going to start taking this engine apart. You can see the manifold now, it's all finished. The glue's held, at the moment anyway. So it's lovely to use the original components there. So to wrap this video up, all these parts now are going to be dipped in degreaser and going to get powder coated. So all the casing parts, we're having that the original black, everything's going to be the original silver, little brackets, what have you, polishing that up like it should be. I've left the oil pump drive shaft in because it's a press fit, and until I actually physically have one, I'm not going to start pressing them out because it's not going to go back together right. I will be doing a full in-depth slow engine rebuild, not the crude let's just get it to bits, let's get it up the powder coat as quick like has been the case here. We've been harsh on some parts, taking them apart because basically we're not keeping them. We're having new piston rings, new mains, new cam chain sprockets, new gearbox bearings, the clutch obviously. I mean, I was a bit disappointing to find that. So yeah, clutch plate, clutch inner. I'm not going for a sports clutch or anything of the sorts. I'm keeping it genuine Honda. The only thing I am doing is going EBC heavy duty pads and springs. So I think that wraps it up for now. There will be a scrupulous amount of new parts going in this engine, but they will all be originals. We are not doing any performance enhancements. We're going to keep it as original as we possibly can, using genuine Honda parts as opposed to patent parts. The handlebars need to be chromed. Some chroming that you've seen earlier has already gone away, but simply I ran out of some funds to get this done. All these parts are brazed on, these parts here. That one there, and this one's cracked. This does only hold a wing mirror on this bike. This bike hasn't got a clutch, it's an auto clutch. So it's just when it's been crashed. Also the bars are bent, so we need to heat these up and straighten them prior to going chroming. I'm not in a rush for the bars because I'll only trip up them and catch my coat on them and end up pulling the bike over as we're rebuilding it. So yep, those need doing. All the mating faces now are clean, but they are going to have a light oil stoning just to make sure they're absolutely flat and no problems. On the engine rebuild, I'll be measuring clearances as per the manual, wear tolerances, everything, and we'll be replacing parts as and when we find them. Full gaskets, full oil seals. And that's it for this video. The next video out will be the frame rebuild. So one video on the frame rebuild, all back together and done.